Right, so in yesterday's class we looked at creating a symbol API, and we were able to create two APIs. If you go back to our code here in the index, let me undo this. So you can see yesterday we created two symbol API, one for returning greetings message and then the other one for returning list of courses, and we were able to test them yesterday using the browser. So today I want us to build on that and look on how we can separate those APIs and put them in a different file, so that if in real world application where you have a lot of APIs, it will not make sense to put all of that code in one file, because the code is going to be long and it is going to be much buggy and complicated for you to understand and to debug. So for that reason, it's better we create a different file that will hold the APIs, and that's why we said we need to define a different folder for that. So the steps to do that is to create a symbol folder called the route folder. So I like calling it the routes folder, but then you can call it any name that suits you. So already we have done that. We have a folder in our project called the routes folder. Then within that folder, you just right click and click new file, and you create a new file. And I have created that file called symbol API routes.js, and therefore in this symbol routes.js I want to create the two files, the two APIs. I want to create the two APIs. So the APIs that we had created in the index.js, want to move them from here. So let me just delete them from here. Alright. And then we are going to create the same APIs within the symbol API routes. And after we've created the APIs, at the end of the day, we have to export that router. So we have to export this router. You see here, the first line we've done is that we imported the Express library. Then we use the Express library to set up the router, and it is this router that is going to give you the HTTP methods so that you can use them to define the APIs. So now when you come to line 6, we have used that router and we use the get method to define one API, one get API. So this get API, what does it do? It simply returns a response with the status code 200 and JSON with a message saying, hi, welcome to Code Archive. And then we again define another API, which is a get API with a slash courses. And what does this API do? It simply returns a response with a status code 404 and a message saying courses not found. Alright, so now we have two APIs in this file and we have exported this router. Now how can we import this in the index.js? So within the index.js we have to import that router which we have defined here. So how do we import that? We use the normal import. So let me take the code in this index.js. So the way you import it, you import the file which has the API. So let me just copy this line of code here. Go back to our project. So the way we import, let me admit this guy. Welcome back, Samuel. Ochari, you can mute. So here we need to come in our index.js and we import this file now that has the API. So how do we import it? We use the same const and we call it API routes. Let's just call it symbol API route, and this is equals to require, then in bracket we say slash router, is it slash router, then slash, within the router we have a file called symbol API route. So after we've imported that file which contains the APIs, then now we can be able to use it. So how do we use it? You come below, let me remove this comment and write a new comment using the APIs in the router. So we come and say app dot use, then in the bracket we can define extra path, maybe we say slash API slash v1, then comma, then we specify, so we are saying that we specify the file that contains the API, and the file that contains API is this that we've just imported. So that is simple API route, and then we save. All right. So now let us test the API to see if we can be able to reach it. So you can see now here, when you go to the symbol API route, we have two APIs, slash greeting and slash courses. Then we have exported this file. Then in the main file, which is the index.js, we have imported this file on this line. Then after importing it, we are now using it here. We are now telling this application that when a request comes with maybe HTTP, let me write as a comment, when a request comes with this format, so the request will normally come with, how does the request come? We have the protocol part, colon, and then the local host or the domain name, colon, then the port number, maybe 880, slash the path. So what is the path? The path will be API slash v1 slash maybe greetings. So when the request comes with slash API slash v1 up to here, direct this request to this file here. So when this request gets to this file, inside this file we have slash greetings, and this request has slash greetings. So if the request ends with this slash greetings, then it means that we want to access this API, and therefore when this API is called, we are going to get this response. Okay, so if the request comes with API slash v1 slash courses, then first it will come, and the first point this request will get, it will get in this file called index.js. Then when it gets to index.js, this file will look at the request path. If it is API v1, it will direct it to this file, symbol API route, and when it gets inside here, it will again further look at the endpoint here, which is courses. So if it is courses, which API has slash courses? It is this one here, and therefore this API will be triggered, and therefore we are going to get this response. Alright, so that is how it works. So let's save our changes, and let me start the application. using is it npm run dev, and so now our application is up and running. Let's try to reach to these APIs on the browser. So when we come back on the browser and we try to type this API, this request, let's get this request exactly the way it is: http localhost 8080 slash API v1 courses. So we press enter and you're going to get this response: courses not found. Alright, if you change this to slash greetings, then you're going to get this greeting: hi, welcome to coding with Code Archive. Alright, so now you can see that it is the same thing we are doing. The only thing we are doing here is that we are separating the concerns. We are separating the code into separate files so that now our code becomes easier to manage, so that if you have any problem with an API, you know which file contains the API. You just move to that file and then you see any API that has issue or an API that has got an error, and you fix that issue and your application should be ready to go. So now we have less code in the index.js. So now our code becomes more easier to manage and more easier to debug. Alright, so that's all what we mean by separating the APIs in a different folder to make it easier to work with. Unless someone has a question to ask or where you have not understood, I can clarify.